Amenhotep. I'm Kefa. Excuse me. I'm Kefa Amenhotep. And again, this is my brother here.
Amenhotep, Marriage and Matrimony.
To finish off where we were talking about communication, and we're speaking on when you're communicating with each other, your spouse, your significant other, your friend in your marriage, that we must learn how to be truthful. And this is for any of them who are going into the marriage, who are in it, or coming out of it. Doesn't matter. A lot of us are not being truthful with each other in our communication. Communication is key, yes. But if you're communicating incorrectly and you're communicating within an illusion, then your communication is going to bring about a whole bunch of chaos and confusion within your marriages or within your relationships.
Right.
A lot of us are not speaking out what we need to say to people because we're so afraid of how it's going to affect that person and their emotions. So we don't want to see them cry. We don't want to see them get hurt or mad. But we're not seeing that when you keep the illusion going, you keep the lie going, and not telling the truth of what you truly feel inside, or whether something is hurting you. Like you may have a friend, say if your husband is an alcoholic, and you're not telling your husband that these issues that him drinking all the time is really hurting, but you keep massaging it, and trying to sugarcoat it and try to make him feel good about it, but it's truly hurting the marriage, it's hurting the family, it's hurting the household, it's hurting your funds and all this other stuff. You have to stand on your ma'at karu at all times. You have to say and speak and live and think truth at all times, even if it's going to hurt. And that's the thing. It's not that you're going out there to purposely hurt the person and make them cry, because to be honest, that is the choice that person makes within themselves, if they're going to allow what you say to affect them, to hurt them. But see, we're taught in a certain manner, so we are taught to think that when somebody says truth and it goes against what we want, then we should get angry, mad, and cry. And that's what happens. But we must stand on our ma'akaru. We must speak truth no matter the outcome, because the outcome will be far more damaging if we are communicating through a lie and not communicating through truth. And that's what we were speaking on earlier. And while the camera was off and going through its uploading, we were talking back and forth on that.
Remember, it's called communication. Common unity vocation. You have to be on common grounds to have unity. And how do you do it? Through your vocation, through your vocabulary, through your vocalizing, through talking, through sound, person, through your person. That's Greek, person, through sound, basically. So, so that's why they say God spoke the world into existence.
Vibrations,
his person, through sound. Okay, so these sounds that we make to these people, it has to be conveyed of just common truth, common unity. Fellas, we get into this era of, I really do care about this woman so much that I'm gonna tell her. So I'm gonna tell her what she wants to know without telling her everything she needs to hear. I'm gonna tell her what I want her to know without telling her what she needs to hear. It's almost like Nick Nat Patty Whack, give a dog a bone. Because while you give the dog a bone, he's over there in the corner gnawing. You're sneaking into the doghouse, pulling all the rest of the stuff out of the doghouse, so the dog's over there with his nose on the bone. And that's the end of that. It's time to go ahead and take up our cross of responsibility, including myself. I'm one to point my finger, because I do know I got 3 more pointing back at me. So it's a tough pill to swallow, it really is. Truth hurts, it really does. Truth hurts, and I know, sisters, y'all can enjoy this. There is such thing as good pain. There's such thing as good pain, and fellas, we really don't get to enjoy the good pain like the females get to enjoy the good pain. But there is a pain that once we go through it, we can actually live with it, and then we see it the next day that it was a good pain, and that is to be truthful, to square ourselves up, and be truthful, to be on our words of truth, Amat Karu, as Sister Kefa said. I'm one that I'm coming now into my asar of understanding what the truth, truth is, in things, and I know people are like, well, if you're talking about truth, how come you read that book, but that's a whole nother story, because I see truth inside of this and not color,
Right.
That's a whole nother story right there. So
a whole new video.
For that one. But anyway, we're getting into matrimony and marriages right now. But the whole thing is that the truth, when you are married, that is the love. When you get into matrimony, you love that much, you take a vow of God. And there's, and I guess because people have their own different views of God and this, that, and the other, and they really don't comprehend, or we're really not taught, especially over here, whites and blacks alike, especially at this age. Most of us are immigrants. Most of our parents, grandparents are immigrants. So what we're getting taught over here was a system that was set in place before we were even thought of, before we were entering our daddy's pants. These are, this is a system that was put in place. So what we're being taught, everybody's getting taught.
Right.
And it's like, and it's a generic food. It's a generic process. It's not organic. It's generic. And it's about time for us to really see that. It's about time to go ahead and hold up our hands and put it on a judgment. We got two hands to put on the judgment.
Because we're in a time of judgment.
We're in a time of judgment. I could. I know this has nothing to do with marriage and with marriage and matrimony, but really, take the time. Just a little seed to plant. Take your age that you're going to be at the end of this year, and then take the year you were born. Add them two numbers together, and I guarantee you get 111. Now, we all know that 1 + 1 = 1, because we're talking about man and wife coming back together to make one.
Right.
And that is your judgments right there inside your mind. Now, with that being said, take that seed and judge for yourself. Study to show yourself approved. Know thyself.
Right.
On the inside. That one that you are, linking to the other one. Now, is that one going to be a 1? That 1 + 1 coming together is going to be a 1? Or is it that 1 + 1 coming together going to be a 2?
2, right. Because that's how a lot of marriages are lately.
Right. You're going to stand on, as a man, you're going to stand on your thing, and as a woman, she's going to stand on her thing. And
that's not how
a house divided does not stand.
Right.
Right.
That's very true. And like you said, a lot of these marriages, they're based off of 1 + 1 = 2 and not coming together as one. We don't know how to be of one mind anymore. We don't know how to be of one thought, to speak together as a whole. A
common unity.
Right, a common unity. And I want to speak real quick, because I don't want to use a lot of our time and go into 50 million parts. But because marriage and matrimony is a very serious engagement, agreement, contract, institution that people get into, and people are divorcing all the time. And I can tell you, as a person who had went through this, when I got my divorce, there was a bit of sadness that came across my heart, because my thought was, we spent 7 years in this particular institution and we couldn't make it work. We could not come together and sacrifice something from my side or his side so that we can make these things work for ourselves, for the vow we took, and for the children that we brought into this marriage. But then we also knew that we had come to that agreement within the marriage that we already knew that we weren't supposed to have really gotten married. And that's where a lot of people's divorces come from. Divorce is not something that people should play with, because some divorces are needed if you're in physical relationships where you're being beaten, and or to be honest, if you have a spouse who is cheating on you, and especially cheating on you and is unprotected and bringing possible STDs into your marriage, and that could harm the woman in her womb, and not understanding that the woman's womb is so connected to the earth that when it's disrupted and endangered and going through its illnesses within her womb, that it affects the outside world, it affects the earth, it affects their family, it affects their household, it affects their emotions and connections to each other. Because when she is sad and hurting, trust me, he feels it. Even if he's still going out there doing it, he feels it. He don't know he's feeling it. And whoever he's going out there with, he's pushing that same energy off to the other person. Now, I want to say, add this in real quick, speaking on that. This brother here has said, he speaks a lot of wisdom to me on many a times that helped me through as becoming becoming Kefa and no longer Tiba.
It's the one. It's not me. I'm just the vessel.
Okay, through him.
It's amen. I'm just the vessel.
There was this one day that he explained something to me that was very serious for women, and that we as women, and this is for also those who are going into it, that we must know who we are letting into our universe, because you know what I'm about to say, right? You have to be careful who you let into your universe, and not everybody should be in your universe.
Right. Like I said, from the scripture book that I read, okay, you have the opening leg of the story that says Eve had brought sin into this world, right? As they say, and then the other leg, you have Mary that bring God into this world, okay? And between them two legs, you have kings, you have prophets, you have all types of stuff. Ladies, what are you putting in between your legs? You should cover yourself. Just as a book has a cover. Cover yourself and know what you're dealing with. Are you dealing with a prophet? Are you dealing with a king? Are you dealing with a jester? Are you dealing with a thief? Are you dealing with just a typical dude? Watch yourself. Because your legs are the keys to the universe, basically. Without you, there would be no us. Plain and simple.
And women need to do the same, though. Because for the men, there are women out there who you can't just sleep with every woman that's out there. And because you sleep with the wrong woman, or the woman who carries negative energy within her, and then you are being one with her in an intimate setting, you are now bringing certain things within to your own being as well. You have to be careful who you with, because how I see it and how it's being taught to me is that if you see yourself as a god or a goddess, Niter or Niter, then you should, if I myself as a Niter, I should only allow a Niter to come into my body, to come into my womb, to share this universe that is created for me. It's amazing how time goes fast on this thing. We're already coming up. We're going to do one more part, and then that should hopefully end that. So let me go ahead and end this now. Hotep.